Hey y'all, we're about to go live for about 20 minutes before we hit the town. Come on in the room. We're talking about public service loan forgiveness program. See what y'all are doing on a Friday night. Bruce 2452. We're talking about the public service loan forgiveness program. Come on in the room. I have about 20 minutes before it's time to go. Talking about the public service loan forgiveness program. Come on in the room. Hello, Jackie. Oops, I got my whole finger in front of the thing. Jerry J396. We're talking about the public service loan forgiveness program. Some new details are here, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Scott Erdam, Cindy MJC. We're talking about the student loan forgiveness program. Student loan forgiveness, the new Biden announcement as well, and the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. Y'all have 4 days. 4 days. This program ends, the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program ends in 4 days. October 31st. So if you know teachers, if you know retired folks who still have student loans, you definitely need to let them know about the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program. Because the normal program with the public service loan forgiveness program, if you are retired, you can't apply because you still have to be working for your qualified employer. But with temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, you can actually apply while you're retired and you do not have to be working for that qualifying employer. That's big. So you can apply sitting on the beach in paradise somewhere and still receive forgiveness for your student loans. And if you are a teacher with a teacher loan forgiveness program, so you're receiving payments, or you're basically receiving benefits for doing payments with the teacher loan forgiveness. So they're counting your payments there. But then normally with the public service loan forgiveness, you can only count your payments towards teacher loan forgiveness, and they don't count towards the public service loan forgiveness. But up until October 31st, if you go ahead and apply, your payments for your teacher loan forgiveness also qualify for public service loan forgiveness, but only up until October 31st, 2022. So that is 4 days away. So you guys, if you are working for a nonprofit organization or a government entity that is a qualified employer, so which means you have to go on studentaid.gov, type in the public service loan forgiveness search tool, the employer identification number. You find that on your W-2 in the top left corner. Hey, the all 16 loan forgiveness. Yes, we were talking about student loan forgiveness, public service loan forgiveness, and the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program. And the temporary expanded public service loan program ends October 31st. You guys have 4 days. 4 days. I was like, I'm going to attempt to go live for these next 4 days to answer your guys' questions. So the all 16, do you have questions about the loan forgiveness program? Follow the host. Thank you. I appreciate that. So guys, if you're coming on in the room, go ahead and like the broadcast, share with somebody you know. I'll be on for maybe another 20, 30 minutes, give or take some. We'll be getting out of town soon, so. We're talking about student loan forgiveness, so the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. So this temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness program ends October 31st. And those two things I just mentioned, retired and teacher loan forgiveness portion that I just mentioned, those will both go away after October 31st. So you won't be able to sit on your couch and apply retired. You'll actually have to work for that qualifying employer while you receive forgiveness. And teacher loan forgiveness, you won't be able to get the double dip, as I call it. So which means you won't be able to get teacher loan forgiveness and be able to have those payments go towards your public service loan forgiveness as well. So please know that, okay? The all 16, what do you mean public service loan forgiveness? Is this just about schooling? So public service loan forgiveness basically means that you work for some kind of nonprofit or government entity that is considered by the Department of Education a qualified employer. And you can receive complete public service loan forgiveness if you've paid 120 payments or 10 years worth of payments. You can receive complete forgiveness. So I have a friend that's here with me today that received forgiveness for over $50,000 in student loans. But she also worked for her government entity for, almost 20 years. So once she hit that 120 payments, that meant she was eligible to have all of her loans forgiven. And so there's a few other qualifying factors though too for public service loan forgiveness. So for complete forgiveness, that's where the 120 payments come in, but you don't have to have 120 payments in order to qualify. You can go ahead and just qualify just with making sure your employer is a qualified employer. You look that up on studentaid.gov and you put into the PSLF search tool your employer identification number to find out if your employer is a qualifying employer. You need to make sure that your loans are consolidated into a direct consolidation loan. And then you also, what's the other thing? Have to work an average of 30 hours. That is considered full-time. Geneva 135, welcome in the room. Thank you guys for liking the broadcast. Thank you for coming in the room. Looked like we had about 50 people in. Now we're down to 11. Well, we're talking about public service loan forgiveness, temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. Temporary public service loan forgiveness ends October 31st, 2022. And so a few things that we've also learned recently is that, so the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. With any kind of public service loan forgiveness, if you have FFEL loans that are private or commercially held or Perkins loans, you want to consolidate these private loans into a consolidation loan, a direct consolidation loan as soon as possible. Because we all saw, right, with the student loan forgiveness that Biden just announced in August, around August 22nd, you saw how quickly, literally in 1 month, it was taken away. But for those that did apply before that, the announcement, which I believe was like either September 28th or September 29th, you were still, those people who went ahead and consolidated their private loans are still eligible for that $10,000 forgiveness or $20,000 forgiveness for Pell Grant recipients. So if you know that you have something that the Department of Education has just announced something that will benefit you, you need to act quickly, because just as fast as it was announced, unfortunately, things can change really quickly too. So that was a very big thing. But still, so with public service loan forgiveness or temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, it is still an option to consolidate your FFEL and Perkins private or commercially held student loans. But with the student loan forgiveness, that the consolidation of your private loans is no longer available. So you have to understand the difference between these two. So once again, the student loan forgiveness for the $10,000 or the $20,000 if you have a Pell Grant, FFEL loans and Perkins loans that are privately held or commercially held are no longer eligible to have their loans consolidated or eligible for that forgiveness. But if you have public service loan forgiveness or temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, you can still consolidate. And if you're interested in doing that, you should do it right away. Do not delay. So let's see, there's a few other things. So I guess mostly I've been having these questions. It's like, what exactly needs to be done before October 31st? So what needs to be done to apply for the public service loan forgiveness, so to actually be eligible, is that you really just need to submit the public service loan forgiveness application. Because so from a really great source, I found out that there is, a time and date stamp on the studentaid.gov website. So the Department of Education is aware of when you have initiated certain parts of the site. So a few different circumstances, even if you have gone ahead, don't delay with submitting your application. So even if you're like, okay, I don't have the employee signatures, they're not there, they're still pending, you can still submit the application. As long as you have them date the application as saying no later than October 31st, 2022. Even if your loans are not consolidated yet, you can actually, so even if you haven't received that consolidation confirmation, you can still go ahead and submit your application. or even if you're still waiting to get confirmation on your employer eligibility. So you want to make sure that yes, their EIN number and they are a qualifying employer first, of course, but of course you're still waiting for the Department of Education to say, yes, your employer is eligible. Even if you're waiting and that's pending, still submit the application. So there's a time and date stamp on the Public Service Loan Forgiveness website, so which is the studentaid.gov website, that lets them know that all of these processes have been initiated. They know that, okay, you have initiated the consolidation of your loans. You have initiated the to get your employers to have their signature. You have initiated to have your employer eligibility looked at. So those are a really big deal. And there's a few other things too that if you guys are just coming in the room, we're talking about public service loan forgiveness and the temporary public service loan forgiveness program. The temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness ends in 4 days. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 days. So which means if you have been thinking about it or considering it, now is the time. Because remember too, with the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, the great part is that remember we talked about the retired portion. So being able to retire and not have to work at your qualifying employer in order to still get forgiveness. Teacher loan forgiveness, the double dip, so you can get your teacher loan forgiveness and have those payments also count for public service loan forgiveness. And the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness opened up all of the loan payments. The payment plans. So before, PSLF was just, you had to be on a standard repayment plan or an income-driven repayment plan. And now it is completely opened up. You can have like a graduate repayment plan. You can be pretty much on any repayment plan and qualify under the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. But under that specific provision, the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. And then, of course, working an average of 30 hours a week, that's a part of it as well. So just keep those things in mind. And then, of course, during the time, so after March 13th, 2020, any of that time after that where the payments were paused and the interest was paused, when your payments were paused and you paid $0, those payments counted towards yours 100 and are still counting up until December 31st, 2022. Those $0 payments count towards your 120 payments, which is why so many people are so much closer to getting complete forgiveness. Hey, Lay 1010, welcome in the room. Laura M. Lavu, welcome in the room. We're talking about student loan forgiveness, public service loan forgiveness, and temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. So a few other things that will actually stay with public service loan forgiveness after the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness goes away is the hours. So the average of 30 hours will stay. So that'll be a big thing as well. I wasn't sure how to consolidate. So London Bridges says she wasn't sure how to consolidate. So when you go on studentaid.gov and you start the process of applying for the public service loan forgiveness program, it'll actually ask you to say, did you consolidate your loans? And if you haven't, it'll tell you, okay, if not, click here. And then it'll give you all of the paperwork in order to consolidate your loans, London Bridges. It'll be very clear, I promise. So go on studentaid.gov. At the top, it'll say, oh, are you looking to apply for PSLF or temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness? And there's only one application. So you only have to do it once. And then you'll see it right there. It'll say, oh, have you consolidated yet? And then you'll be able to print out the form too. Do everything you can to get it in by October 31st, 2022. So many more payments count. And even so, there's also payments. So let's say before the PSLF program was like, oh, you can't have late payments, you can't have partial payments, you can't have lump sums. So that's supposed to be something that'll actually stay. Under the temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, you could have late payments or partial payments or lump sums, things like that. That's actually here to stay as well. And so which means those payments counted towards your 120 payments. Because I'm like, the amount of people that I've known now that have had their student loans completely forgiven is way more than before. Because the biggest issue before was that, oh, hey, they were like, you're not on the right loan type. Okay, you didn't pay all of these payments on time. Oh, you didn't pay in full. There were all these little semantics that became the issue. So now a lot of those have been relaxed. So now that a lot more of those things have been relaxed, people are able to get their loans completely forgiven. Sounds like people are almost ready to go. What other questions do you guys have about public service loan forgiveness, student loan forgiveness, or temporary expanded loan forgiveness? Once again, temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness, you only have 4 days. 4 days. 4 days. You just have to get it in because there's a time and date stamp on that website to tell them, you know what, they already initiated the process, that their employee eligibility is pending. That is okay, as long as that you know that your EIN number for your employer and that they are a qualified employer. And you're like, oh, well, my consolidation isn't confirmed. So London Bridges, if your consolidation isn't confirmed yet, that's okay. Submit the application anyways. Or you're like, oh, I don't have an employee signature. It's okay. It's okay as long as they know that, okay, the process has been initiated, and then your employer signs to say that, okay, yes, this is, at least they should sign it no later than October 31st, because of course they were notified before that time period. So what kind of information are you guys, what are your questions, guys? So like, what kind of information is still confusing? What information are you still looking for? What forms are missing where you're like, well, I don't really understand this? Sonia Hartsfield, Bella Bawig, welcome. We're talking about student loan forgiveness, temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. It ends in 4 days. I want you guys to be able to apply, and you have to first and foremost know whether your employer is qualified or not. And so that's looking at your employer identification number on the top left of your W-2, and you're putting that into studentaid.gov on the using the PSLF search tool. Hello, Bella B. Wig. How are you? Cosmo Princess, thank you for the like. Thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing the broadcast and coming in the room. Go ahead and also follow if you could. I would greatly appreciate that. I'm also wondering what time it is, because my friends are going to leave me there and be like, what is she doing in there? I'm like, let me see. 6:10. So I have to leave in 5 minutes. What other questions do you guys have? I'll be back tomorrow, I'm sure, at some point. I'm just going to roll through, turn this camera and the slide on and be like, okay. So the only loans being forgiven at this time I have to work for a qualifying employer. So Carol 601. So the only loans being forgiven would be when I'm working for a qualified employer. Yes, for the public service loan forgiveness and temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness. That's correct. You have to be working for a qualifying employer for those loans to be forgiven. That is correct. Bella B. Wig, I filled out the form when it opened. Don't remember, added my job info. Bella B. Wig, you entered the form for this, just a regular student loan forgiveness. So the one that was announced August 22nd. Was it that one? Where you had either $10,000 forgiven or $20,000 forgiven for the Pell Grant? Because that just recently opened. The public service loan forgiveness and temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness have been out a little while. Dem dogs out aga. Hi, you give out student loan advice. I have about 4,000 in student loans, not employed. Do I qualify? So Demodogs out taga. So for the regular student loan forgiveness that was just announced by Biden, the $10,000 or the $20,000, as long as your loans were taken out before June 30th of 2022, you should be eligible. And so you would just want to go on, I believe the website is like studentaid.gov /debt relief /application. And you'll be able to quickly fill that application out in less than 5 minutes. And if you only have $4,000, that will wipe out everything for you. So with that part of it, yeah, so if your loans were taken out before June 30th, 2022, and then really most loans count. So the only loans that don't count for the student loan forgiveness that Biden just announced would be refinance loans. And then, of course, now the privately held or commercially held FFEL loans and Perkins loans. So that would be also something that unfortunately Dem Dogs Out would disqualify you if you had those kinds of loans. But if your loans are ones that, the Department of Education has if your loans are held by the Department of Education, your loans should qualify. So we're talking about Grad Plus loans, direct loans, federal loans, subsidized, unsubsidized loans, Parent Plus loans, all of those should count. Oh, dang. Yeah. But you have to go on the website and fill that out. So make sure you can still do that from what I'm aware of. Dem Dogs Araga. So if you want to go on the website now and take care of it, because you can basically go there, fill it out, and come back, and yeah. Bella B Wig, yes, okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bella B Wig, can you apply for both? The student loan forgiveness, the $10,000 or the $20,000 with the Pell Grant, or the public service loan forgiveness program? Yes, you can apply to both. So those are two completely different things. The regular student loan forgiveness for the $10,000 for most borrowers, and the public service loan forgiveness, where you get all of your loans forgiven if you're working with a qualified employer, they are separate. So you can't apply for both. Dem Dogs out of Georgia. Got it. Sorry. Carol, I sent it anyway. Definitely. Guys, don't count yourself out. Make sure you go ahead and send the paperwork in. Even if you're like, oh, well, I'm not sure, because remember, for the student loan forgiveness program, just the one that Biden just announced, you have to have specific income limits. You have to make either less than $125,000 single or less than $250,000 married. But even if you think you're close, submit it. Let them say yes or no. H&M Love, so as long as the application is started for the waiver, it can still count. Yes, from my understanding, so H&M Love says, so as long as the application is started for the waiver, it can still count. But you want it both started and submitted, okay? So you can still have your employer eligibility pending, you can still have your employee signatures pending, you can still have your consolidation confirmation pending, but please submit the public service loan forgiveness application. So don't just start, you're gonna have to submit. And it's okay if the rest is pending and it kind of trickles in later. I hope that makes sense. Georgia. Okay, my loans are 6 years old. Okay, so those should be fine then. So Dem Dogs out of Georgia says my loans are 6 years old, so those should qualify because that'll be before June 30th of 2022. Your loan should qualify for the regular student loan forgiveness that Biden just announced. HSJ, I'm so sorry, I'm butchering your name. HSGE Jack KDMBN. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering that. Employer qualifies due to start paying in January. So your employer qualifies and you're due to start paying in January. After 120 are made, then they are forgiven. So correct. So for temporary expanded public service loan forgiveness and PSLF, after the full 120 are made, then they are forgiven. And of course, this would include those $0 payments during the pandemic as well. But then remember, you don't need 120 just to qualify or to just to apply. You can still apply and qualify. But this will put you, those $0 payments during the pandemic, this will put you that much closer towards getting your loans forgiven. Phyllis Robinson 01, thank you so much for the comment. Follow me, please guys, follow. That would be so great. Thanks for the likes. And thank you for sharing the broadcast. Bella B. Wig, should I apply for both? Yes, apply for both, apply for all. Phyllis Robinson, for the student loan forgiveness, it is studentaid.gov/debt relief/application to get the regular loan forgiveness. And then the PSLF website, that is the studentaid.gov. Bella B. Wig, awesome. Thank you. You're welcome. Dem Dogs, you have cash. I might bless you if your loans get forgiven. That's very nice, Dem Dogs. It's very nice. But it's okay. Save up for something good. I appreciate the thought. Nilla V, is this only for people who work in public service? Yes. The public service loan forgiveness, yes, that one is only for those that work in nonprofit organizations and government entities. But the regular student loan forgiveness, that's pretty much for everybody, except for those people who unfortunately have either refinanced their loans or have privately held FFEL loans or privately held Perkins loans. Them dogs out of Georgia. Okay, thanks a lot, Madam Doctor. You're so welcome. Repent every day. Jesus Christ loves you. Pray to the Lord and Savior. God bless you. Pedro Lopez. God bless you as well. Phyllis Robinson, is this the borrower defense? No, the borrower defense website, that's if your school closed. Like, there's a lot of these schools out here who, basically couldn't make it through the pandemic. And the borrower defense website is if your school closed. And if your school closed and you are on here, you need to go on the borrower defense website and fill out the application to say, hey, my school closed. The Department of Education, you need to go ahead and discharge my loans. So that's different, Phyllis Robinson. Well, guys, I actually have to go before my people leave me, but I'll be back on tomorrow. So what time? I'm not really sure, but sometime during the day so you guys can ask some questions, okay? Check you later. Bye.